All right, welcome back, Lube Tubers. Jamie Bruce here. Got the big green Lund behind me. Finally, almost done rigging it all. I'm just packing her up for an open on St. Clair, but gonna take you guys through it. If you watch the rigging videos, you'll have seen a lot of the things go in, but there's been a lot added since, and this is the wildest one I've ever rigged. Pretty crazy kind of what it's come to these days for electronics, and I've probably got 50 or 60 hours into rigging this thing, which is out of control. But like I said, I rig it all myself and just the way of the road. So we'll walk you through it. Stick around, click on the old subscribe button if you don't mind. It's a bit of a pain hauling this gear around, so any subscribe helps and helps keep things rolling. So let's get into her. We'll start on the business end, or whatever the boat walkthrough videos usually entail. What the heck? Oh. Ugh. I don't know what that is, but she needs a waxing. Anyway, Mercury 250. That's the standard motor for the 2075 Pro V Bass. I've got two 12-foot talons. Last year on the Opens, I was the only boat in the EQs, I think, running talons. A couple reasons for that. One, they go 4 feet deeper than Raptors or standard power poles or anything like that, which, you know, you really need around here. Ease of rigging, you don't lose a compartment to hydraulics. The Raptors or power poles, the hydraulic ones, go out wider and they do prevent swinging a little bit better, so something to keep in mind. But we fish a lot of 10-foot stuff around here and you want her touching. And also these Lunds are taller than a standard bass boat, so you've got another, you know, foot or so down there taller than a bass boat, so another reason to keep the, holy man, is that crooked? Another reason to keep the talons instead of the 8-footers. So I've got these on the jack plate brackets. Don't bolt them to your hull. That can be something that's pretty tempting. You know, these things are big money. They're like $3 Canadian a pole, and the last thing you want to buy is a $500 jack plate mount to go with it. But the alternative is drilling them right into the aluminum and mounting them. That's fine on a duck boat or something, but you do not want to be doing that on these. They're just going to rock around. There's a lot of weight there, and I'd rather just hang it off my impulse jack plate. I'm going to show you this thing. It's pretty damn cool. So down here mounted to the transom is the Impulse Voltix 10. That's a 10-inch setback. Something different this year for me. I've always run hydraulic jack plates before, but this thing's super heavy duty. It's all electromechanical. It does some cool things that you won't see in hydraulic jack plates, and it's kind of the first advancement in jack plates I've seen since I've started running a jack plate. So anyway, one really cool deal, especially because I rig them myself, is I don't have to run wires from the jack plate up to my console or controller or anything like that. She's all wireless, and something, because it's electromechanical, there's some cool things it can do. This thing holds memory in it. This is the wireless remote, just runs on a couple batteries. You can mount it anywhere in the boat. But anyway, I've got it set up for, like, you know, if I pull in, I'm fishing shallow. You know, if you fish shallow before, you don't always remember to trim up. You drag the old girl through the mud all the time, or rocks or whatever. I've got it preset on number 1. And you'll see that sucker climbing. I've got it set so it comes all the way up. So I'll hit number 1 if I'm putting it on the trailer, or, you know, if I'm just pulling into a spot. I just have to hit it and go up. I don't have to sit there and hold it or hold my trim. And that keeps my motor high enough where it's pretty much out of harm's way, you know, when I'm shallow drafting. If I want it all the way down for takeoff, I'll hit there. This is where I run it, is at level 2, which is about 1 inch on this particular unit. It's different on every boat. It depends what holes you use and everything like that. So 3/4 of an inch. So that's where I've got it preset for full speed. So, you know, I'll take off, hit that button, and it'll just auto adjust. You don't have to sit there fussing with it the whole time. And then there's just the, you know, the up and down. You can hold it or whatever. It goes 1/4 inch at a time. Pretty damn cool. Super solid. I was really impressed when I picked this thing up. I almost threw my damn back out. There's so much meat to her, but no worries about hanging the poles off or anything like that. And the last thing I want to see is a 250 horse motor flying around at me if I hit something. So solid there, real cool. That's the Impulse Voltix jack plate. And another new rig I have for this year is a Transm Saver. It doesn't sound that glamorous, but you know, if you're putting big miles on like I am, and you might be hitting some rough trailering spots, you want a good Transm Saver. This is definitely the best one I've seen. I used to use the little plastic rubber well, you know what I'm about to say, but I'm not going to say it. You know what I'm talking about. And they just kind of wear out over time. They don't offer a whole lot of support. There's a lot of play. This one's super rigid. This is a Geiger Tech one. Comes with the little steering stops. This isn't something you want to sell with your boat every year. They're high end. You know, it's an investment in your transom and in your power trim. So all you do is clip her on. It just clips into the factory holes there. Second hole in this particular model. Drop her down. You're in like sin. Like I said, I've covered the batteries and some other rigging in the rigging videos, but I've got a 12 volt, 105 amp Powerhouse Lithium cranking battery in this. It's on a Perco switch. There's, you know, bus bars and things like that, all big wiring and everything to keep everything clean. You're gonna have to check out a video on that. I'm not gonna go through it again. But that's it for the back. No huge changes in the big Lunds back here. Everything's been working so well for so many years. You know, we were giving kind of suggestions the first few years that I owned one of these, and now it's just like everything's taken care of. Everything we want done is done. So pretty happy about that. I love these boats. I can't imagine myself in something else. But we'll drop her down to the console here. I switched it up a little bit this year. This is a Garmin 1243 XSV. I've still got to add a side imaging transducer to this. I've got it hooked up to this other one, but I am going to want to for when I start heading down south up north. I really don't care that much about side imaging. Humminbird Solix 10, just popped this off last year's boat. Just kind of kept all my waypoints on it. Comes with me. I use them both for different things. This I've actually got plugged into my Garmin network box, and my two front Garmins that we'll get into in a second here are all networked. So, you know, and my trolling motor too, I can turn it left and right if I want to pan around doing some scope idling. If I want my perspective or the ocean scope or whatever back here, you just beep, boop, beep, dial her up. Something else I've got here that's interesting. I've actually just got my ice fishing bundle. I do this when I have like partners and team tournaments or guiding or whatever. Just if you've fished in the back of a live scoping mobile before, you'll know it's not very fun. So I add this for them. I take it out for the co-anglers on the opens, obviously, but maybe if someone really sweet talks me one day or I'm in a good mood, I'll hook them up. But anyway, I've got this Lake of the Woods Sports bracket, goes right into the Lund Sport Track. And then I've just got this pole here. So I'll just drop her over. And this is the same rig I'll take and put it on my outfitter for the camp. So I just have it portable. I have it in the Lake of the Woods shuttle, 16 volt Powerhouse battery. And then I just plug it into this graph here, you know, because it's a Garmin and my partner doesn't need an extra graph. So they just look at this, pan around. If I'm idling, I can pan around. I don't really love doing that just because I control my force as fast as I can idle and reasonably pan, so I don't do that a ton, but just a handy system. I realize it's a little overkill, but you know, fishing's my thing, so I'm gonna do everything I can to make it more enjoyable. I'll just take you down here. And this is something I get asked about a lot too. This is my little quad lock mount. I've been running these for a couple of years. Just got my phone. Should be able to do this one-handed. Yep, clicks her in, and that's solid. Just got it on a mount here. It's like a little ram style mount. If you want it off, like you're not getting that off. If you want it off, you just push that in, pop her off, done deal. Just have my little switch for the talon here and nothing else crazy up here. And I got the old tackle here. As you can see, I'm still not totally done packing yet. Still got some juice to load up, but I've got mostly wrap stack trays. I really like these foam ones. I've talked about these lots. I can see more of these coming in my future. They just keep everything so clean, so organized, and just dry, away from the moisture. You're spending a lot of money on this stuff. You don't want it, you know, loaded all into a box and have to freak out about rust. There's a bunch of red line worm hooks, just clean as can be, come with a little label. Terrible printing on my part. You know, I'll put some plastics in them too. Ones I'm going to use a pile, like these Bronco bugs, and clean up craws, so yeah, just handy. Got a couple old boxes that I just haven't organized yet, and things get busy. And then I've just got some bags of plastics over there. So another thing people really like about the Lund is this foam on the lid. It ends up a bit of a disaster by the end of the year, but it's pretty nice to just hang your baits that, you know, aren't ready to go in the garbage, but aren't suitable to go back in your box. Tons of storage there. The rod locker. You guys have seen rod lockers on Lund Pro V Bass before. I don't have to spend a ton of time on it. She's an absolute yard sale in there right now. There's about 45 rods in there. They only come with 15 holes, but you can see lots of them are tripled up, and you put them in these rod socks and you can just absolutely stuff it more than you'll ever need. I got this rig here, little Sims dry creek bags, insurance, things like that. Just some more tackle that I'm probably not going to use that often. You know, the scopes kind of killed the frog program, but still like to dream. There's a Garmin network box stuffed into there. No worries there. Oh, another thing. One more thing I got to go through. After fishing the opens last year, I realized the need for an onboard light. You know, it's kind of a pain pulling you have to have your lights on at takeoff there. Even if it's 9 o'clock or super bright or whatever, you got to have them on. And if they don't work, you're not fishing. I've seen people struggling in the morning, getting out late, doing all kinds of rigging. And I just wanted to avoid that. Not only that, when you get to your first spot, you got to go to the back and take it out. So I just added, this is just a little Amazon jobby. I'll zoom her in here. That's just a little LED $30 light. Mounted it to the top of the talon. Silicone that, just put a couple stainless screws in there. And then they've got rigging tracks on these sides, and then I just wired it right into my lights. So I'll just flip my nav light on. There it is there. You can buy these aftermarket. They'd be like a couple $100 Canadian, but for $30 and a little bit of time, I got that thing going. Time will tell how long it holds up. I still have my backup lights in here. Another thing I carry are these little kayak lights. Got red, green, starboard and port, and the little backlight at the back. So just another fail safe. Just keep some of my dry stuff in there. All right, this is the bow. Slightly ridiculous, not as crazy as some of the rigs out there, but do a lot of fishing, and I'm going to use whatever I can reasonably acquire to enjoy it better and catch more fish. Anyway, this is the Foresight. This is a steering device for a live scope. You can spot lock your trolling motor and control this with that foot pedal right there. I don't have to explain the advantages to that. If you're locked in, you want to pan around, everything like that. So I've got that. Comes with a force. I've got that. You can get a trolling motor bracket for any trolling motor you want to put it on. This is a force bracket, works really well. You can see there's no transducer on there right now. What I do is I leave this LVS62 block, and I can put either a 34 or a 62 on that same block and spin it around when I need it. And speaking of scopes, we got the big ocean scope right there. This thing's a Magnum. You might not be able to see how big it is compared to the LVS 34, but something I added this year, you know, probably pretty overkill, but wanted to try it out. If there's a long range scope out there, I want to check her out, and I've been using it. So 34 here. You got to really figure this out when you're in perspective. If you want everything low enough where it's not popping out of the water, but you don't want this beam hitting off here. So it takes a little figure in there. And as you can see, all this stuff is on the Garmin Force. I've been using this the last several years, and I see no reason to change. So I'm going to stick with that. And then this is something new this year. This is the Geiger Tech. It's like a custom fitted bow plate specifically for this Lund. Super solid aluminum, clean wire, little deal. And then I've got the Geiger Tech forward sonar, or live sonar, whatever they call it, double stack mount. I ran one of these last year. I really like it for putting the cover on and hotels and everything like that. You just spin this little knobby, pop all your cables, and then pop it off. And then I've got my old telescopic mount from last year. That's a beat down. That's been solid. I'm a tall guy, and I do a lot of screen staring, so I need this thing up as high as she can go. And this will actually come up like another 12 inches from where it sits, but I usually keep it right here. This is a Garmin 1643 hanging off of that rig. This is a new graph for this year. Kind of a more affordable, holy man, that's dirty. Kind of a more affordable solution to an 8616. It's a couple grand less. You lose a few features, but the power rating is still the same. The screen is still the same. And yeah, it looks like kind of Garmin's answer to the NBT big screen and everything like that. This is a lot more affordable than the 8616. Still a big chunk of change, but you know the deal there. Below it, Garmin 1243, same idea. I had an 8612 last year. This one has a little bit lower resolution. I use this on perspective on the ocean scope, or whatever it may be, and it works really well. And then I've just got an old Helix 10 there, that same as the Solix in the back. I just keep it with the boat and tote them around. So those are the rigs. I really like keeping mine all in line for obvious reasons. You know, it helps you a lot better with orientation. I see a lot of guys put one over here and over here and over here, and it just, or like one down on the deck tilted, and that's just not ergonomic, and it just doesn't make sense to me for you know, perfect orientation to the keel of the boat. So anyway, all kinds of crazy wiring and everything to make sure these things have a lot of jam and backup power and all that. So you're gonna have to go watch the Powerhouse battery videos that I did just about a month ago on all the rigging. But if you haven't watched those videos, I'll just give you a quick teaser. There's my cranking battery. There's my 16 volt running gun to my two 16 volt 30 amp batteries. This is my 36 volt running gun to my two 36 volt 40 amp batteries. Charges while you're running, keeps her all topped up. It's my second year on that system, and it's hard to imagine going without it now. Then obviously a couple butt seats got to play, especially for St. Clair. You're going to be doing some leaning. You might not look cool when you're leaning, but it's the way of the road. But yeah, that's the rig. There's obviously a lot more to it under the hood. If you want to do the deep dive, like I said, there's a couple other videos on it. If you want to see how to side image it wide open, if you want to see how to set up all the batteries and chargers and everything from scratch and get all the clean power and clean wiring, check out those other videos. I'm going to throw some more gear into this, set and sail to St. Clair tomorrow. Hopefully whip out a derby video for you guys, and thanks again for watching and for subscribing. See you on the next one.